Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the February 25th Board of Directors meeting to order. We're a couple minutes late because we were getting our pictures taken in recognition of Pink Shirt Day. Pink Shirt Day is an annual event dedicated to raising awareness about bullying and promoting kindness, inclusion, and support for those affected. Pink Shirt Day emphasizes diversity, inclusion, and acceptance, encouraging people to lift each other up and to create supportive communities. This day serves as a reminder that bullying can have serious physical and mental health impacts and that collective action can make a positive difference. So thank you for everyone for wearing pink shirts today. I'll start the meeting by acknowledging that we are conducting this meeting on the unceded traditional territories of the Shuswap-Huipetchesset First Nations, and we're grateful for the opportunity to do so. We also have directors calling in from their territories, and I'd also like to acknowledge those nations and express our great gratitude and our respect. Notice to attendees and delegates that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to YouTube on the Regional District website. And if you're watching online and wish to send in comments or questions, please send it to responses@acrd.bc.ca, and we'll read those out at the end of the meeting. So we'll do introductions. First, we'll go around the boardroom and then we'll go online. My name is Debbie Haggard. I am a councillor for the City of Port Alberni and Vice Chair for the Alberni-Quikut Regional District Board of Directors. Chair Jack is joining us online today, so I'll be chairing the meeting in person. So we'll go this way, Heather.
Thank you. Heather Zenner, Manager of Administrative Services.
I'm Randy LaCourcier. I'm the alternate for Sprout Lake.
Beta Sega, Director for Area C Long Beach.
Terry Fong, Chief Financial Officer.
Susan Roth, the Director for Beaver Creek.
Hi, I'm Mike Sparrow. I'm Director for Cherry Creek. I'm Daniel Siam, the CAO for the ACRD.
Thank you. Now we'll go online and we'll just go in the order that I see you on my screen. First, we have Director Beckett. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bob Beckett, representing Bamfield Area A.
Thank you, Director Jack.
Good afternoon, Oklahoma Sayachat, Hishtuk Shitla Ho'ayat. My name is John Jack. I'm the representative for Ho'ayat and the chairperson, but I'm in Ottawa today, so I'm not able to be there in person.
Thank you, Director Coots.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marianne Coots, I'm representative for the Ho-Chuksa Tribe Government. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Director Boyko.
Hello, Fred Boyko, Electoral Director for Beaufort.
Thank you, Director Johnson. Oh, I think you're muted, Director Johnson.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Kirsten Johnson, Director for the Toquat Nation.
Thank you, Director Steer.
Yes, good afternoon. Councillor Steer, appointed Director, District of Tofino.
Thank you, Director McEwen.
Good afternoon, Marilyn McEwen, Mayor of Ucluelet.
Thank you, Director Minions.
Good afternoon, Shari Minions, Mayor for the City of Port Alberni.
Thank you, Tanya. Are you able to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, Tanya Chavez, Solid Waste Manager.
Thank you. And Director Mastrangelo, are you able to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, Lavana Mastrangelo from Ucluelet First Nation.
Thank you, everyone. Next, we have the agenda. Is there any additions from directors? Seeing none, our corporate office does have a couple of additions, and she'll read them out for us.
Thank you. There was a neighbor letter received related to temporary use permit 22007R 2660 Tofino Ucluelet Highway. And there was a third reason to go in camera as per section 91A of the community charter. And these were both emailed to directors, and they are at the back of the room if anybody wishes to see those items. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Moved by Director Roth, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Now we have the public consultation for the 2026 the 2030 ACRD financial plan. And our Chief Financial Officer, Terry Fong, is going to be doing the presentation. And how many have you done already, Terry? Please go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. It's not quite coming up. There we go. It's just delayed. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Terry Fong, Chief Financial Officer. And yes, I have given this presentation numerous times already, and we still have a few more to go. I have changed it up slightly today, but we are talking about the 2026 to 2030 draft financial plan. So the plan is on our website, and each of our services has a budget for the 5-year period, so current year +4. And it will outline proposed expenditures, revenues, and transfers to and from the reserve accounts. We are in the heat of the budget season, many meetings we have sat through, and we need to be adopted by March 31st. Just to go over the service financial rules, services in a regional district are independent from each other, and we cannot transfer money from service to service, such as moving money from a fire department to a parks or a water system to a sewage system. So we have many small kind of budgets that make up a kaleidoscope into our main financial plan. Areas, meaning jurisdictions, are only charged for the services that they are provided, and the allocation of expenditures does include staff salaries and benefits, so time spent on each of these services. There's numerous ways to engage with this plan if you so choose. So all of our board meetings and committee meetings are live streamed onto the regional district website. The plan is available. There's also a new engagement hub on our ACRD Let's Connect page that has some extra resources. Inquiries can be emailed to budget@acrd.bc.ca. To date, we have presented to the District of Tofino, the City of Port Alberni. We had a session with Community Affairs in Bamfield. We were at Sprout Lake on Monday, and tomorrow we are at the Rescue Hall in over on Johnson, off of Johnson Road in the City of Port Alberni to present. So the doors open at 6 and we'll present at 6:30. So please encourage people to come and hear. Our plan is approximately 38.8 million this year. The tax component of that plan is about 13.6, around $900,000 more than last year. So as an organization of a whole, we're about 7.32% higher than the previous year. That ranges from area to area, depending on what services are provided in your region. We are anticipating approximately anticipating or hoping for $18.3 million in grant funding that will help us for both operational projects as well as some of our infrastructure projects. Today, I'm going to just give you the top 10 of it as a whole because we have gone through this numerous times. So Alex was very excited to learn that he was going first. So rural planning is a very large area of focus here in 2026. So Area C, Long Beach, has their Create the Plan portion of the OCP going on, and there is an engagement session on Tuesday, March 24th at the Ucluelet Community Center from 5:30 to 7:30 as they're looking for feedback on the plan itself. Sprout Lake, we're currently drafting, the planning department is currently drafting the OCP for that community and do expect to hear about some engagement opportunities coming in spring 2026. Beaufort is currently in phase 1, which is the project initiation stage. So that's a lot of work for our planning department this year for sure. In addition, there was a development approval process review done in 2025 with some recommendations coming out of that report. So looking to implement some of those recommendations, which will be considered by the board as we go through the year. Area 2, this is not a specific line item in the budget, but I would say the apportionment of services, many different services are being discussed at numerous times, and we will have further discussion of that during the year. So currently, the majority of our services are requisitioned on the basis of land and improvements and are apportioned in that same manner. That was a model developed in the late 60s, early 70s by the provincial government and doesn't necessarily still work for some of our services today. So definitely been brought up in services like custom transit and regional parks, but also as we look at new services like the proposed aquatics facility, an area that we'll be focusing on during the year. Transit initiatives for the year. So custom transit, again, I mentioned cost apportionment analysis and potential service review. On the West Coast, we did have an expansion occur on January 1st. So there's an extra 1,300 hours on that service. So it's going to be one schedule, so the same schedule, 7 days a week now, which will be great. And they are looking to do some bus shelter installation with some federal grant money. So working with the District of Tofino and Ucluelet on bus stops in their area and getting that project underway. Area 4 is the Alberni Valley Aquatics proposed service. So last month, I feel like, we had the renovation study presented to the board to potentially just upgrade the existing Echo Aquatic Center. And I think in my inbox today, I have an apportionment report from Alan Nielsen, who did a session with the board in the fall. So kind of bringing back those pieces to see if we can move forward with a proposed service and a potential referendum. Staff do not believe that we will get to a referendum in the 2026 local government elections, as there's still quite a bit of work to do, but we will continue to bring it forward and try to move that along. This slide is busy, and I intentionally did that because emergency planning has been very busy. And moving forward into this year, we are really focusing on the Fire Smart program. So we were lucky enough to receive a grant to do Fire Smart within the region. So we have 2 employees that will now be kicking that off. We also had a report done last year on the public notification plan and emergency communications. So building off of what we learned from Mount Underwood, as well as the recommendations in that plan, really a focus on communications this year, and developing a cultural awareness and safety plan in conjunctions with the nations and other municipalities in the region. Area 6 would be our fire departments. All 3 fire departments are very busy. Bamfield got a new part-time fire chief in January of 2026, which is going to help with the service levels in that area. Lots of replacement and aging infrastructure out there. Westside Fire Hall, fire float. They need a new pumper truck. They're looking to figure out how to better serve that west side with maybe an ATV for an emergency transport vehicle. So lots of things going there. In Beaver Creek, the feasibility study was recently awarded to look at the fire hall, addressing safety, accessibility, space, and location issues. Hall 3 for Sprout Lake is going to have a bit of an expansion for safety and space concerns, as well as looking to add a fireboat to the fleet to help create a mobile water supply for that service area. And South Long Beach, we don't run a fire department, but we do have an agreement with District of Ucluelet and continuing to work through those negotiations. Area 7 is airports. So in the Alberni Valley, continuing to look for opportunities to build more revenue that is not taxation. So looking at the design of an expansion of the taxiway network to hopefully accommodate some future leases, and then some AWAS certification to actually improve the use of the aerodrome. In Long Beach, there is a grant to do an airport land use master plan, including some public engagement or quite a bit of public engagement, as well as the design of a new approach lighting system for their main runway 1129. Focus Area 8 is the local government elections and CUPE negotiations. So we have a couple of requirements this year. Election day for the general local elections is October 17th, 2026. So in advance of that, we'll have a board remuneration review committee that looks at the wages of the elected officials to see if we want any adjustments prior to the new board coming into place. Also, there will be quite a bit of onboarding of the new board once we get that. So that's a big focus area for staff in November and December of an election year. And then the CUPE negotiations, our current CUPE agreement expires on June 30th of this year. So have some negotiations to occur later this spring. Focus area 9 is the West Bamfield Dock. So this is a Transport Canada funded pre-transfer contribution agreement to really do the investigative work to figure out what the costs are of that dock now and moving forward. So there was an engineering inspection that occurred on February 13th. Once all that engineering information is gathered, there'll be some community sessions to talk about the information found. Do want to emphasize this agreement does not obligate the ACRD to take over the dock. It is strictly for assessment and information gathering. However, the reality is that Transport Canada is looking to divest the dock. So they're looking for someone to take that on. And finally, there's two kind of special projects that I would say are the main focus of the special projects of the year. The Transportation Committee is looking at building off of that Highway 4 emergency detour route option that was done by the province late in 2025, as we're continuing to advocate for a secondary route into the valley. And then primary care recruitment and retention. So helping to lead the coordination of all the many community efforts that are being undertaken to address this issue, including actively supporting the Campus of Care business case concept that is currently going underway. And that is it for my presentation. Happy to answer questions from the public or from online.
Thank you so much, Terry. If anybody is watching online, you do have questions or comments, please email them to budget@acrd.bc.ca, and we'll get Heather to monitor that as well. Is there any questions from the public on the budget? Any questions coming in online, Heather?
Sorry, I don't have access to that email.
Oh.
Yeah, no, sorry, they would have went through responses today, but I
okay.
definitely will be. I have been checking that budget email daily and will respond if anyone has something come forward.
Okay, so if somebody is watching online right now, and if you do have a question or comment, send it to responses@acrd.bc.ca. And if something comes through in the middle of the night, you can send it to the budget@acrd.bc.ca, and our Chief Financial Officer will respond to that at that time.
Yeah,
not in the middle of the night when she comes to work the next day. Seeing no questions coming in. If something happens and you want to do it later, can we do? We'll do it at the end of the meeting if something comes in on the budget during the meantime. I know it's a big item, so. Director Boyko.
Thank you. I'm a little bit disappointed there's no public input here. I can see sandwich boards up all over town for the thing tomorrow night at the Rescue Squad Hall, but if someone didn't read this agenda before this meeting, they would have no idea there's a public thing happening right now that people could actually talk about. So I don't see this advertised on Facebook or posted anywhere. Did we do any advertising? Because it'd be great to have some public input here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, so the board meeting advertisements that have been on social media have talked about the financial plan presentation being today. The around the region posting that go in the newspaper have talked about, and both in the Alberni Valley News and in the Westerly have pointed both to this session right now as well as tomorrow's session. And then we have a radio ad going as well. But I think most of that we directed to tomorrow's more interactive opportunity for them. And then it's on our website and on our Let's Connect page.
Probably correct, Director Boyko. I have a feeling more people would be coming out tomorrow night.
I would gladly hope so, and I'll be there. But at the same time, man, we got to do better with public engagement. Thank you.
Yeah, I think everybody here around the table nodded their head because they were aware of it. They did see it online. Any declarations or conflicts of interest? Seeing none, we go on to the adoption of minutes. We have the minutes from the Board of Directors meeting dated February 11th, 2026. Is any errors or omissions? Seeing none, get a motion that the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting held on February 11th, 2026 be adopted. Moved by Director Roth, seconded by Director Siga. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Then we have a lot of committee meeting minutes. We have the Accessibility Committee meeting, February 10th, 2026. Committee of the Whole meeting dated February 12th, 2026. Agriculture Development meeting, February 17th, 2026. Sprout Lake APC meeting, February 17th, 2026. West Coast Committee meeting, February 18th, 2026. Alberni Valley and Bamfield Area Services meeting, February 19th, 2026. Electoral Area Directors Committee meeting, February 19th, 2026. Is any errors or omissions on any of these? Seeing none, can I motion that Board of Directors receive meeting minutes B through H? Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have petitions, delegations, and presentations. First, we have Fred Kramer and Len Machuk, Colleen Dane, 8 from HDR on the Alberni Valley Rail Corridor Study. And this is presentation of the final report that committee has been working on for the last couple of years. So looking forward to the presentation.
Cool.
And
thank you.
Welcome. Are you going to be
just
starting off, Fred?
Yeah, I'm going to just share my screen if that's okay.
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
I'm just going to get confirmation that you can see that.
Not yet. Oh, there we go. Keep going.
Very good.
There we go. We can see it now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So just to start things out, yes, we've been, I guess, working with the ACRD, Pupachesik, Tashot, First Nations, as well as the City of Port Alberni, as we call them, the working group, over the past probably 18 months now, on looking at potential uses for the Alberni Valley Rail Corridor. So I've just got a few slides here just to do a little introduction on some of the history and some of the findings, if I could. So the Island Rail Corridor is Vancouver's island's primary rail asset. It stretches from Victoria at milepost 0 all the way up to Courtenay at milepost 139, I believe it is. And then there is a branch line stretching from Parksville to Port Alberni, and that's about approximately 30 miles long. Currently, this corridor is owned and managed by the Island Corridor Foundation, ICF. And it is there's some active parts of the corridor, mainly in Nanaimo through Wilcox Yard. There's a couple of trains per week that are still running out to Superior Propane. But other than that, the corridor is largely inactive. The last regular service for passenger rail service was in 2011. And the last freight service was discontinued in 2002. You'll note that there is a connection to the mainland through the C-SPAN rail barge, and it goes to Annacis Island. So that's a daily service that provides rail cars from the mainland to Wilcox Yard in Nanaimo, where a lot of the products that are transported in those rail cars are transloaded to truck for furtherance on the island here. So a little bit about the history of the Esquimalt and Nanaimo Railway that it was originally called. It was intertwined with BC joining the Dominion of Canada. It was a condition of confederation. And in 1883, Robert Dunsmuir was selected to construct the railway in exchange of a land grant of over 2 million acres. And you can see that on the map there on the right-hand side. This $2 million acres was granted to the ENN company without consultation or compensations to First Nations. The first survey spike was actually driven in the Esquimalt Reserve lands. The Esquimalt and Nanaimo Railway was sold to Canadian Pacific Railway in 1905. Along with the remaining 1.44 million acres, Robert Dunsmuir and the Esquimalt and Nanaimo Railway sold off significant amounts of land through the land grant between 1883 and 1905. The Port Alberni subdivision was constructed between 1908 and 1911 in support of the forestry sector. But generally over time, with construction of roadways and other market conditions, both passenger and freight rail service declined. And eventually the Island Rail Corridor was gifted to the Island Corridor Foundation in return for a tax receipt. Corridor land reversion was granted to Sonanos First Nations in 2023 as a first step towards the development of a shared vision for the corridor's future. At that point in time, the BC Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure provided up to $18 million to 15 First Nations and 5 regional districts to come up with a shared vision, and this is the work that we undertook. So quick study area. I mean, we're focusing on an 18-mile segment of the Island Rail Corridor between in the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District, from milepost 39 in Port Alberni to milepost 21, where it joins with the boundary of the Regional District of Nanaimo. This is not to say for some of the options that we considered. We expanded the study area to include portions of the rail network to access Wellcox Yard in terms of freight rail service, for instance. So a little bit about the existing condition. In May 2025, HDR, along with the Island Corridor Foundation, along with Southern Vancouver Island Rail, the operator of the railroad, as well as Taysha First Nation, undertook a condition assessment whereby over the 3-day period we walked the rail corridor and decided on generally what would need to be done in order to put it back in service in some manner. So generally speaking, it varies from fair to poor conditions. Many areas need major rehabilitation. There are some encroachments on the 100-foot, generally 100-foot right-of-way, but generally speaking, that wouldn't affect any rail operations, future rail operations. Notably, of course, though, the 2025 Wesley Ridge wildfire destroyed forced trestles near Cameron Lake, and some detailed structural assessment would need to be done on the other bridges to reinstate regular freight and passenger rail service. Most track is rated fair, but there are a number of slides, crossing, ballast replacement, drainage work that would need to be done before regular service would be restored. As part of the study, we had a significant stakeholder engagement. We had the study working group, first of all, included representatives from Taysha, Kupachesek, City of Port Alberni, and ACRD. We met over 20 times, gathering input, reviewing technical appendices to this report. We have an ongoing online presence with Let's Connect page, included a survey that we had fairly significant responses to the survey. And the last, we did have a pop-up booth, I guess I would call it, at the Port Alberni Fall Fair. So overall, we had 575 interactions, I guess we called them. And overwhelmingly, it's important to note this engagement happened prior to the Wesley Ridge wildfires. So, but many of our feedback that we had, they would like to, people would like to see permanent freight rail use restored as part of an economic development opportunity. Again, I think probably they would reconsider it given the cost of replacing those trestles at this point in time. I mentioned the recent wildfires. There's a photo of one of the trestles that has been severely damaged. So 4 of those trestles were either severely damaged and must be replaced. And recently as well, the forestry industry decline. We've all heard of certain mills closing. And so that reduced forest activity has weakened near-term freight rail demand and the business case for restoration of freight rail service. On the positive side, though, there is interest in trade corridors, the development of trade corridors, especially for overseas trade, but within Vancouver Island as well. There's a renewed interest in trade corridors and rejuvenating some of those trade corridors. So we took a look at some corridor use opportunities, and they're generally categorized into these 4 elements: people movement, so enhancing mobility for residents and visitors along the corridor; goods movement, supporting the freight and supply chain connections; livability and tourism. Again, that could be in terms of a tourist train operations, some economic development there from tourism activities. And then community resilience. We heard a lot about this during our stakeholder engagement as a potential alternate route when Highway 4 was closed. Now, again, I'll reiterate that was prior to the Wesley Ridge wildfires. So just a couple of near-term opportunities that we identified. First of all, I think everybody is aware of the Alberta Pacific Railway, the tourist train that operates on a seasonal basis within Port Alberni. The tourist train would like to expand their service offering back to McLean Mill. So that is one thing that they're looking at. And there's a potential for expanding that tourist train all the way out to Cameron Lake at some time in the future as well. We looked at multi-use pathways and rail trails. Now it's important here to note that it's not one or the other. It could be a trail beside rail, so you could protect the corridor for future rail service, but you could also have a formal trail beside that freight rail service as well. And then one interesting opportunity was another tourism opportunities was identified: rail pedal carts. This is significant, actually, tourism opportunity that I see in the US. So there's probably 10 or 12 of these operations currently going on in the US. So it's a pedal cart, and they could be electric assist as well. The longer term opportunities I mentioned, these are not economically viable at this time for the Port Alberni subdivision, but reinstatement of freight rail may be a longer term opportunity if market conditions improve. The implementation of some sort of a passenger rail service as well could be implemented. Emergency high rail access, again, this could be implemented as long as you can get around Cameron Lake and get onto the rail corridor there. And then lastly, the autonomous rail car technology. Technology is improving for autonomous rail cars. GLID Technologies is prototyping a rail car that actually can run on road and rail. So there are a number of these opportunities that if you protect the corridor in the future, the value is in the corridor, and if you protect it for the future, these longer term opportunities could come to fruition. I think the report was part of the meeting agenda as well, but we do have some detailed reports here on the existing conditions of the corridor and some cost estimates with respect to implementing at least some high rail service. We do have a document on the island corridor history that really goes into a lot more detail than I explained here. Stakeholder engagement on what we heard. We do have some rail trail concepts, some in other jurisdictions that you can consider if that is an option. Track and bridge condition assessment, the freight rail reinstatement business case that we took a very close look at what it would take in terms of the number of carloads and revenues in order to reinstate freight rail service. And then the Alberta Pacific Railway extension, some words on what could be done there. So those are the detailed reports, and we do have a little video if we could. And I think I was supposed to turn it over to Colleen for that.
Thank you, Fred. And thank you everybody in the room. Yeah, as Fred mentioned, so my name's Colleen. I supported the project team on communications and engagement for this project. And as we were marching towards this final report and thinking about all of the conversations that were had at the working group, the work that was done, the way that the path changed with the Wesley Ridge fire last year, we talked a lot about kind of how we could report back to the community about the findings and what we see as potentially a path ahead. So we landed on a video as a good way to summarize that process and all that work, and also a great way to include some of the really important voices when we're talking about rail in the Alberni Valley. So we were really glad to work with a video production company based in Port Alberni called Olam Films. And we would like to share the final cut now with permission of taking a few more minutes of the group's time.
Please go ahead.
Colleen, I wish I could stop sharing somehow, but I'm not sure how to do that.
Here we are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. This is the moment of truth about whether this will work for me, but hopefully we have success. You should just be seeing a black screen right this moment. Is that coming through all right for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll press play, and if there's any audio issues, just maybe pop up a hand or flag me and we can adjust. Okay, so with that, here is our overview video.
There was two very distinct sounds in Port Alberni over the years, the water bombers and the train. To hear that train whistle and hear the bell all the way across town, it's iconic. Let's make sure we capitalize on some of this infrastructure that's still there. So it's really looking at other opportunities to make sure it's utilized. That's a big part of our work with this working group as well.
Benefits group just it, but not only us, everyone, nothing but positive.
I think we're having some technical difficulties.
Here we are, here at
That's better.
Quaquaquis, it's a historic village site of Sishad First Nation. At the end of the day, this was a sacred place for our people, and it's really fitting that the work that we've started with the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District and which is a First Nation, is where we are today. You know, this railway was put in our territory without consultation, definitely without consent, and we've never been accommodated. This huge swath of our territory has been eaten up, not just by this railway, but the larger ENN rail grant.
The rail corridor, especially for the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District, was a logistical connection for transporting things like lumber to market. The island corridor started to fall into less use over time, especially on the connections between our region and the rest of the island.
Well, it's been so long that there's been no rail service in Port Alberni. It'd be nice to see them in full operation like they used to be. I used to work at the pulp mill years ago. They had rail cars all the time. Now there's just nothing no more.
The province worked with each regional district on Vancouver Island in exploring the opportunities for the rail corridor. We needed to make sure that there was a common understanding of just what the opportunities were, what the challenges were, and what we could do in order to solve some of those challenges.
For Sishad, we wanted to work together with our neighboring nation and the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District. And so we formed this working group, and throughout that time, we've done a lot of work. You know, we've done some feasibility, some business planning, some business case work. All of our three governments sit down and, you know, we meet every several months and have discussions about the railway and the opportunities that are there for all of us here in the Valley if this railway was to get up and going again.
We looked at the economic impacts, the transportation impacts, as well as other types of usage such as active transportation, hiking and trails, and just leaving it be.
The fire at Cameron Lake is now into its 6th day, burning out of control at 511 hectares.
The recent Wesley Ridge fire in Cameron Lake really changed the dynamics of all research. Ultimately, that fire took out some trestles, which really impacted the viability of really anything on there. You know, it's in the tens of millions to fix those trestles. We need to look at the other options. So if we can't go past Cameron Lake, what are the creative projects we can do from here to Cameron Lake?
Alberni Pacific Railway was founded in 1984. The operation used to run 6 miles out to McLean Mill. It was a very good educational piece on the history of railroads and kind of what they meant for the Alberni Valley until about 2018 when we lost our funding to operate. Coming forward into 2024, we regained our funding, or a portion of it, to operate along the waterfront of Port Alberni with a new structured operation, and we're excited to be building up from there.
You know, this valley is growing and doing amazing things, and if we can look at new tourism opportunities, let's do that feasibility and business case.
There's so much potential here in Port Alberni for tourism rail. We have at least 6 miles out to McLean Mill National Historic Site that we can easily expand to, and for minimal cost as well. But then there's so much more to do past there. There's Loon Lake, there's Cathedral Grove, Cameron Lake up to the Trestles. They'll actually have some more reasons why to stop in Port Alberni.
You know, our strategy is to not just be a pass-through community. We want people to stay here and we want them to visit. And so for us, we think about the stories we have to tell from a tourism perspective.
It's a big part of our industrial heritage. That is something that the citizens want, running up and down the tracks and to have that noise, to have that feel. And it's just another draw to the downtown core as well. And we've seen that in the last year and a half.
We've all been working together to try to figure out a way to get the Island Rail going again. And it's always good when people are working together, like the ACRD, Tishot, Nopajisset, because everybody has great ideas.
I think it's the way of the now and the future for Tishot is that collaboration with others. You'll see that happening more and more in the Alberni Valley, these working groups of all parties coming together to find a path forward in a good way. When we talk about upgrading this, at the end of the day, it's for our kids. And I think that's what we always need to remind ourselves, that we're here to leave a legacy for them.
I think rail connection is extremely important because the more infrastructure, the more connections and work that we do together on creating resilience, it creates more stable foundation for us to either rebuild what was there before or build something new.
Thank you, Colleen. Okay, is there any questions or comments from directors? Director Sparrow.
Thank you. I have a few technical questions, I guess. I know the trestles weren't in great shape. What is the weight of the steam engine and what weight can the trestles hold? And thirdly, what condition of the tracks in the McLean's Mill, because I walked out there quite a bit.
Do you know the answers to that, Fred?
Well, I don't know what the weight of the steam engine would be, but and when talking to Alberni Pacific Railway, they have had some condition assessments for the 3 trestles close to Port Alberni. And they have had those condition assessments done by a registered engineer. The latest one was in 2018. And as of that time, those 3 bridges leading into McLean Mill were rated to accommodate the Alberni Pacific Railway locomotive and the rolling stock.
Thank you, Director Boyko.
Yes, thank you. I have 3 questions here. You talked about reinvigorating the tourism to McLean's Mill, and I would love that to happen, but I honestly got to take my son on there the year before it closed, and now I don't know if that'll ever open up again, but the city scaling back operations at McLean's Mill, is that a viable thing to be looking into? Or is the city looking to revamp and get the mill back going again?
I'm not sure if that's a question for myself. That may be a question for the city rather than HDR.
I'm just wondering if we talked about the economic analysis and you said that the larger term freight things are uneconomic. The second part of my question is, was an economic analysis done on the 3 things that are potentially recommended here? The tourism aspect, the trail on the side of the trains, and the push cart or electric cart. Are we saying that those things are potentially economically viable? And did we talk to the city about if they're going to increase the activity at McLean's Mill and maybe make it operational again so people want to go there and make this an actual viable thing?
So I will say that they are potentially economically viable. no sound or in-depth business case was done in any of those three options. My understanding as well is Shot First Nation was going to, and I haven't interfaced with them for a few weeks now, but they were going to look into more in-depth study on the rail pedal cart opportunity as well. The Port Alberni, the Alberni Pacific Railway, I mean, that has been an ongoing endeavor with the that group for quite some time. And my discussions with them is that, you know, it may take a little bit of upgrades to the track leading into McLean Mill, but it's not a huge financial outlay in order to reinstate service there.
Okay. Second question, who are we projecting to actually fund this moving forward?
Daniel's going to comment, Brad. You're off the hot seat.
I don't think Fred can answer that one. In terms of next steps for any business cases, the ACRD still has some remaining funding, as does Shot and Hoopachesset. And the discussions that we've had where we left off is that once the final report is received, we would take some time to sit back down, recalibrate, and talk about a game plan for 2026 moving forward. So there still is grant funds remaining, and yeah, so that's right now, that's where funding would come from until there's any change in plans.
Perfect. I see the mayor has put a question in the chat to answer the thing about McLean Mill, but I'll just answer my final question here quickly. You mentioned there's detailed reports that were made during this project. They're not in our agenda or any of the packages here. Where can we get access to those additional detailed informations, please?
My understanding is that they will be posted online. I'll turn it to Daniel to answer that.
Okay, they're not in the package for anybody to look at right now, so maybe we can do that in the future. Thank you.
Mike, did you want to respond? You're kind of leading.
Yes, I was, and just to Director's Boyko's question, and Fred had answered it as well because we talked about it. Yeah, there is a number of background studies and appendices, and they will all be posted on the ACRD website. You know, within the next week as well. We certainly can let all of the directors know that.
So if we come to this again, it would be good to have that posted before the meeting so we can have a look at it so we can make educated assessments. Thank you for your time.
Did you have a comment, Director Minions?
Sure, thank you. I did just want to clarify that while I think the city is very supportive of the concept that's being put forward here, we would all love to see rail activity to McLean Mill and possibly beyond. And McLean Mill, I think, heavily activated in a way that made it a real tourist operation again. The city has no plans whatsoever financially to invest in increased operations at McLean Mill. We also have no budget whatsoever for rail infrastructure, and much of the rail being talked about is city-owned rail that goes out to McLean Mill, not all of it, but a good chunk of it. So no plans at this time to invest in any of this. We would be extremely supportive if there were grant opportunities, but I think pending some kind of big change, there are certainly no immediate plans in the current future or in the 5-year financial plan to make any kind of investment in this as a tourist operation for the time being, just as our budget is in a challenging position. And we're very much looking to really invest in infrastructure, other infrastructure. So that's where we're at currently today, and we have let this group know that as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Minions.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from directors? Well, I just want to thank both Fred and Colleen for all this hard work that you've done. You've been absolutely wonderful to work with over the last year and a half. I thought it was closer to 2 years. It seems like we've been meeting forever, but thank you so much. I learned so much from this process. So thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you soon.
You bet.
Thank you. Next, we have Michael Moore, who is the operations manager for the Alberni Valley Maker Space Society, and he's going to be requesting permission to expand existing lease space. Do you have a presentation, Michael?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Sure.
There we go. Okay, so hi, my name is Michael Moore. I'm with the Alberni Valley Makerspace. And today we're coming to the board with a request to modify or change our lease agreement so that we have the opportunity to expand our space. I'm getting older. I can't see the buttons. Yeah. Oops, sorry. So a little bit about us. Coming in up in March, we'll be 3 years in operation. Every year we see a year-over-year membership growth. We pride ourselves on being a technology hub, incubator of entrepreneurship and learning in the Alberni Valley. I'm going to try to keep this quick too, just because the people. What we offer, right? So we offer memberships. Memberships is what drives our space. That's what helps fund us, what keeps us going. We have other resources that we're bringing on board through Clean BC, the Plastic Action Fund. We've been able to start up a fully flushed out plastics manufacturing facility that's recycled almost 8,000 pounds of plastic in the last 10 months. And we continue to grow those numbers, and we're starting to build that out. What we need. So like any great makerspace, growth is our driving force, right? So as we bring on new equipment and new partnerships and new projects, we're constantly looking for more space. We've had a fantastic relationship with the ACRD since we got the space in January of 22. Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah. And then I think it was like mid-March, the world came to an end. So we didn't really have the space per se for about a year after that. And then when we finally got everything up and running, it's really, it's been fantastic to be able to have space like this. And without that partnership, this doesn't exist. So definitely want to make sure I say that. So what is our plan? So plan's really simple, actually. For those who are unfamiliar and who are online and haven't maybe necessarily spent as much time in the 3rd Avenue recycling building or depot as I have, that building is wildly underutilized. The 2nd floor of that building actually expands to include approximately 1,500 square feet of additional space that is currently, for lack of a better word, a spider farm. It is unused space. It is literally empty floors, empty walls, empty ceiling. It is just the space behind my wall. And it is, we're looking to expand into those empty spaces. The way it stands right now, our space is, we'll do it in 3 phases. So phase 1 is relatively straightforward and small. It's already a pre-existing room. It's like a fake room behind another room. We would expand into that. Phase 2 would allow us to create double the amount of classroom space that we currently have, double the amount of studio space, as well as creating a proper size wood shop, which would help us expand opportunities for bringing in local artists to help facilitate that. And then phase 3 is more of a cleanup act, readjusting some of the walls that are in our current space and making some adjustment there. Not necessarily any modifications to the lease, but are just, good housekeeping. So, sorry. So this is phase 1. This had animation in it. It does not. So bear with me. You're looking at a representation of the space as is in currently, minus, I don't know if anybody can actually even see, nobody can see your mouse on this. The upper, if you're looking down at upper right-hand corner, is that additional space behind an existing wall where we'd be opening it up into. This will increase our ability to process e-waste and allow us to present it in more of a classroom setting, giving people an opportunity to learn about the equipment that they're recycling and or upgrading.
We can see your mouse if you want to wiggle it over your
Oh, yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, hold on. Getting there. Silly Zoom windows all open up. Oh, We're in phase two. Hold on, we're going back up one. Oh, lordy, lordy. There we go. Phase one. Phase one is right here. This is the room that I'm talking about changing here. This little box up in the top corner here. That's the addition of space. If you were here, there's a great 3D model available for everybody to look at. Unfortunately, I can't get that out to everybody. This represents like 12 feet by 12 feet of space, right? It's not a ton of space, but when you're stacking in computers and a workbench, that actually does really make a difference in being able to have more than one person or two people in a room at a time. Now I can have 2 or 3, users working together on something. This next phase is the bigger phase. So phase two, okay, now phase two, this is where we would be expanding. I'm doing this. This is a doubling of our classroom space, which means that now we have the ability to host 2 separate classes at the same time. Beside that is an increase to studio space, allowing for mixed-use multimedia users. So whether or not it's teaching kids how to safely podcast, allowing people areas where they can learn how to do Twitch streaming in a controlled environment so that they understand the process before they endeavor into it to themselves. And then the big one here, which is a little bit more part of the driving force, is a full size or proper size wood shop. And I lost the mouse again. Sorry, I'm playing against myself here. There we are. There you go. That's the wood shop. So as it stands right now, our wood shop is tiny. We're not able to process a full sheet of plywood. We can break it down, but then it's like cumbersome. So what we're hoping to do is to build a shop that would be safer for the end user and give them more options to do things, including in this space is the provision to have tables set aside so that we actually can do proper layup and working classes. Okay. Let's keep going here. And then phase three, the adjustment in phase three is to straighten up the wall down here, as it were. So right now, this is set up with a big V cut into it, and these 2 rooms are separated by an internal wall. All we're doing in that phase 3 is to really clean up that area, remove the wall. None of this is structural, by the way. None of these walls even go to the ceiling. They're all, we're all kept short for the fire suppression system and whatnot that was already there. But yeah, we would remove that center wall, open it up so that we could have a full-size fabrication and room and environment. Okay, almost there. When? Well, I mean, we work pretty fast. It comes down to we enjoy the comfort and knowledge to know that both the ACRD and the city of Port Alberti respectively both need to be involved in these decisions, right? As the ACRD is our landlord and a wonderful partner, the city is the person we look to make modifications to buildings and everything else, and to make sure that we ensure that we're meeting the requirements of the city's needs, right? So we have already started the conversation with the economic development group at the city to have these kind of work on this process to see if we can find ways of expediting it and making sure it goes as smoothly as possible. Answer the questions before they're asked. Roadblocks. Well, who's paying for it? We'll pay for it. We don't want your money, right? We're confident in our ability to take care of this bill. It will be done whether or not we receive funding through grants, which, hey, I'm not going to say no to. But we're obviously we wouldn't bring this to you if I didn't already have a plan in place. City approval. Well, when we opened that space up, it was a challenge given the shape and the size and the footprint of that building, and we need to make sure that we stay within those guidelines. So when this is, this lease is done, or at least if this change is approved, we bring it to the city. That's a step that I can't guarantee. Parking. That was one of the hangups of the original one. And we have already started the agreement process and started having the more formalized agreement in place with our neighbors next door to us to provide parking so that we can actually have proper off-street parking that is shared space. And then labor. I have a sign-up form. If any of you guys want to help swing a hammer, no. We already have in place partners with our organization. Fine people at Tilly's here has helped us in the past with our bathroom. Sure, they'd be more than happy to help us out again. Yeah, see, look at that. Yeah, right. Anyways, so no, honestly, we have a couple of contractors. There's a lot of stuff in this environment that we want to make sure that it's done properly, meets the safety requirements and everything like that. So, and the project summary. I can't say this enough. As a makerspace, the last year has been crazy. And our name is being held up as an example piece for how makerspaces are run in the future. We've developed partnerships with NIC, UVic. We're expanding into partnerships with makerspaces up and down the island. We've developed a full-fledged PLA recycling program that doesn't exist anywhere else in BC. Yeah, there's the list of things that we're able to do with the space that we have now is one thing. What we can do with a little bit more space is the world's the limit. So, yeah, I think that's it. Trying to keep this all. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Michael. For those of you who don't know, Michael was at the Fall Fair and he had a beautiful display of what he did with the recycled plastic for making park benches. And I did recommend to the city that they look at your park benches for purchase. I don't know if they had
Catch you guys a deal.
out yet. Let me know.
Oh,
I'll put a bug in there.
there you go.
Okay. And before I go to questions, Tanny, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Sorry, come on up.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, just from a staff perspective, we've been talking internally about the workload involved with supporting this effort, and we feel like it can fit nicely within our existing work plan scope of work, so that wouldn't be a roadblock. And then the only other item is currently we charge $1 per year in rental lease, so but we would want to up it to $10 per year because currently our procurement department has said $1 is not deemed material. And those are my two comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Any questions?
I've got cash if you guys want to just take it now.
Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Two questions. What's in the current spaces now?
Sorry, oh, so yeah, our current space.
No. What's in the current space that you want to expand into?
Oh, currently in that space right now, there is so the ACRD uses one portion of it to store compost bins, and indoor and outdoor compost bins. I believe one was from a different project that you guys worked on. I think there's some water rescue equipment that was used for a demonstration at one point. All of this equipment, we will be building a new storage area set off to the side for all this equipment. So none of it would be out of reach. The only other caveat there is currently above the electrical room, our downstairs neighbors and a wonderful organization, INEO, uses it to store some of their furniture material that is, I believe that's made from the Recycle Matters program. And we would also facilitate a location to have that properly stored so they have access to it all. Obviously, we wouldn't remove anybody's access to storage.
Perfect. I noticed you guys are starting up a course with North Island College.
Yeah.
Is the enrollment going okay for that?
Yeah, Fred, if you want, I can get you the address if you want to sign up. No, we're full. Every one of them, there's 8 spots per intake. They're all full. And we're actually trying to figure out a way to modify our REDUP agreement so that we can increase it.
No, that's great to hear. And finally, do you need building permits from the city? And is there a realistic timeline to get those in a couple months? And is that something that the owner as an ACRD applies for or the tenant as in you apply for?
So, the space exists. What we'll need to do is approach the city to ensure that our current development permit meets, or we're not exceeding anything above and beyond what we already have existing there.
I wish you guys good luck and I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from directors?
Come on. There.
Director Sparrow?
Thank you for that. So you're not asking money, you're asking more for help from our place, like you said here, to request the HRD to act as a partner for the Alberni Valley Makerspace to apply for permits.
So yeah, it's basically you guys saying, hey, we welcome you to do that. That's as much of a partnership as we need when we go to the city, right? So if I approach the city now and I go to economic development manager and I say, listen, I have permission to expand my space into this. Can we now make sure that I'm not going to violate the development permits that I had with development license that I had when I got my business license? If we do run into a roadblock there, then that's what I need to make adjustments to, right? So we'll have to revise the plan at that point. But the way it stands now, this space exists. The space exists regardless if we're using it or not. The question is, if I use it, is that space then become a concern for the city, i.e. I have more square footage. Am I under the guise of the square footage that I am required to have 5 parking spots, or do I now need to have 7 parking spots for that?
So right now the spaces you're looking for actually are dead space up there. Right?
Yeah.
The wall and just sitting there. The spiders, yeah.
Yeah, spiders, a little bit of furniture, some throwback retro water flotation equipment, a couple of dodgy compost bins, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, great. So yeah, on board.
Thanks.
Dr. Boyko, do you have another question? He's over your hand.
Sorry.
Yeah, can I just ask Director Sparrow to pull the microphone right up to where he's speaking from? Because we can barely hear him at all with the volume cranked. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Michael? Seeing none, Michael, I'm going to put your request under correspondence for action under B. Okay.
Aces.
And they'll let you know, I'm sure.
Yeah. Cool.
And I just want to say, I remember when you started, you had a vision, and I think you far exceeded your vision that you started. So congratulations.
Yeah. It's like I said, yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Thank you very much for your help and support.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't know you had things to show us down there. Aw. I will. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is correspondence for action. We have a letter from the Alberni District Welfare Association requesting a letter of support for grant application to the Province of British Columbia's Ministry of Tourism Designation Events Program grant. And there's a possible motion if anybody wants to make that motion. Director Roth?
Can I make the motion, please? That the Board of Directors provide a letter of support to the Alberni District Welfare Association regarding their grant application to the Tourism Destination Events Program.
Moved by Director Roth. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Director Lecourcier. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Director Roth.
Would this be the same, just because of the name, Tourism Destination Events Program, is that the same one that the Chamber of Commerce was involved in, or is it something different? Oh, okay. Okay, I'm just curious. Thank you.
Sorry about that. We have a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. Dr. Sparrow, would you like to make a motion for the makerspace? You said the motion when you were talking, so I just thought I'd ask you to do it formally. On top of the microphone.
You're getting any closer. Sure, I'll have to make that motion if I can remember it. That we support the Makerspace in their application.
Moved by Director Sparrow, seconded by Director Siga. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have correspondence for information. We have a letter from Island Health in response to regarding occupational therapy in the Port Alberni region. We have a letter from the Ministry of Health in response to the ACRD Board of Directors letter regarding Farm to School BC. We have a letter from Leslie Walerius regarding the Campus of Care team. And we have a letter from Mike Glosowski regarding the Log Train Trail. And we have a petition from Timberline Senior Living regarding regional transit. Does anyone want to pull anything out? Director Sparrow?
I'm going to pull out the Mike Wazowski letter, the Log Train Trail. If you read it, he talks about Mosaic and their way they're doing it, and they use user groups in Mosaic. And the liability is carried by the user groups, and he thinks that may be a good idea, but I don't think we're doing that with our Parks group. I think what we're doing with the Parks group is we're assuming the liability if they sign on with us. So one of the problems that the user groups had was the fact when they went to get liability insurance, it was costly for them. And that caused a lot of problems because you're paying money to volunteer. This way, at the ACRD, we're taking on the liability. If you come in and you go through our program, then the liability cost will be assumed by us and there'll be no cost to the volunteers. So I think there's two different ideas what he's trying to do here. He's trying to say we should do it Mosaic's way, but it's going to put the cost on the volunteers. And I'd like to get the cost off them and then come in and we can utilize them at no cost to them and they can work throughout the valley as they see to. Because right now they're wanting to go if we can get everything in order. So just want to make sure it's clear on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sparrow. Director Boyko?
Thank you, Chair. I got a comment about the same Log Train Trail letter. We need to make sure that the people want the ACRD to take over the liability with all the big costs that are assumed with that, as opposed to how things have been going for multiple years and decades. But when we push the volunteers that currently do the work and have been doing it for decades and are taking care of it, we're pushing them away by what's currently happening. And the people want not to be pushed away and keep going. So we need to find a balance between what we think people want and what they want and the additional costs involved. Because when we did the public engagement, it was very clear people want a low-cost model and they want to keep it volunteering. And I'm seeing this diverging into some big liability issue. And we need to make sure we stay on track with what people want. Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, get a motion that Board of Directors receive items A through E for information. Moved by Director Roth, seconded by Director Siga. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next is the request for a decision and bylaws. To receive the Alberni Valley Rail Corridor Study, the final report. Any questions or comments from directors? Would anyone like to make the motion to receive the final report, or Director Boyko?
I'll make a motion to receive the report, but at the same time, I'd like to have the detailed reports published online for all to see in a timely manner and make it obvious on how to find them. Like send an email to all directors and put it in like the news thing on the ACRD website. Thank you.
Okay, moved by Director Boyko. Can I get a second or second by Director Roth? Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. Next is request for a decision. The ACRD procedure bylaw, final adoption. Heather Zenner. Let's go ahead, Heather.
Thank you. So the report in front of you today is asking the board to adopt the ACRD procedures bylaw. So as way of reminder, I brought the bylaw to you on January 28th, and then I proceeded with advertising the bylaw. We received two comments from the public. One asked if all committee and board meetings would be live streamed, and the answer is yes. And then one member of public just asked general questions about the bylaw to get a better understanding of the bylaw. So given that all statutory advertising requirements are met, staff are recommending that the board adopt the procedures bylaw today. Should the board adopt it today, staff will be developing new agenda templates and incorporate the changes. and will create public communication to better help the public understand the ways in which they can engage with the board, how they can participate in public input periods, etc. So, thank you.
Any questions or comments for Heather? Director Boyko?
I'll make the motion to, or I'll make the motions if you want, but the question I have is regarding the software that we're going to be using for the electronic voting coming up. Do we have an implementation timeline on that?
Yeah, we've just begun the implementation. We are anticipating going live in May for a couple of committee meetings and then rolling out with a board after that. So currently staff are doing the implementation. Next is staff training, followed by director training.
Thank you. You want to start the motions, Chair?
Yes, please go right ahead.
I'll make a motion that the Alberni-Claycott Regional District Board of Directors give first reading to the Regional District of Alberni-Claycott Procedure Bylaw number Alpha 1093, 2026.
Moved by Director Boyko, second by Director Roth. Any final questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead, Director Boyko.
Thank you, Chair. Second motion that the Alberni-Claycott Regional District Board of Directors give second reading to the Regional District of Alberni-Claycott Procedure Bylaw number Alpha 1093, 2026.
Moved by Director Boyko, second by Director Roth. Any questions or comments, Director Siga? You were pre-voting? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead, Director Boyko.
Thank you, Chair. Third reading that the Alberni-Claycott Regional District Board of Directors gives third reading to the Regional District of Alberni-Claycott Procedure Bylaw number Alpha 1093, 2026.
Moved by Director Boyko, second by Director Roth. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Please go ahead, Director Boyko.
Thank you, Chair. Finally, that the Alberni-Claycott Regional District Board of Directors adopt Regional District of Alberni-Claycott Procedure Bylaw number Alpha 1093, 2026.
Moved by Director Boyko, second by Director Roth. Final questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. And I just want to congratulate and say thank you to Heather. That was a huge amount of work and you did it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well done to the board too.
Next is request for decision on the Sprout Lake Marine Patrol Partnership with Alberni Valley Enhancement Society Community Participation Funding Program application. Terry, please go ahead.
Thank you. So as we have not been able to access that federal grant for the Sprout Lake Marine Patrol program for 2026 season, we are continuing to look for opportunities to kind of break up it into sections and see if we can get some grant funding for small components of it. So this opportunity has been found, the Community Participation Funding Program. It actually has to be a society that applies. However, we could do a lot of the work on the back end to support that process. So the Alberni Valley Enhancement Society has agreed that we can apply with them. And that would focus on like the environmental aspects of what the Sprout Lake Marine Patrol do. So it's a small grant, but like I said, we're looking for grants from any sort of component of it. So it would cover $5,000 towards staff costs. Happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions or comments from the board? Would anyone like to make the motion? Director Roth?
Sure. Move that the Alberni-Claycott Regional District Board of Directors approve partnering with Alberni Valley Enhancement Society to submit an application to the Community Participation Funding Program and authorize the ACRD to receive grant funding contributions from the AVES to support engagement, consultation, and data collection activities associated with the Sprout Lake Marine Patrol.
Thank you. Director Boyko, are you seconding or do you have a question?
I'll second, but I have two questions here. What are the data collection activities that the Sprout Lake Marine Patrol is doing?
Terry?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I do know that they do like water quality testing in those areas, especially like around the boat launch area, I believe. And then they, just in terms of the consultation and engagement regarding like environmentally protecting, like I even believe like the garbage aspect of the program fits under this because it's like being a good steward of the lake while you're on it and protecting the environmental aspects of it. But the data collecting would be related to like the water collection and other statistics that they gather.
Okay. You're gonna have to answer my next question, Terry, here, but this is a $5,000 grant that will help out with next year, this year. But we're still in the same situation that this Lake Marine Patrol is not funded after the 2026 year after we raid the capital fund, correct?
Correct. So we haven't been received word that the federal program's not coming back. They just they haven't formally announced that it's over, but they haven't announced a new intake. So we're feeling like if this doesn't start to be talked about before like end of June, then it will definitely be a budget discussion that we'll probably talk with this board about before the election in the fall, and then will impact how we run the service in 2027, because this option that we've used this year to use the reserve to get us by is a 1 year kind of, we might be able to stretch it 2 years, but basically at that point we have to decide, are we reducing the scope of what the service does, or are we increasing taxation, or a combination of both? But this is just a short-term measure, hoping that that federal program is going to pop back up, but I'm not all that confident we'll see it again.
Perfect. So from the Beaufort side, we are not looking to increase taxation for this moving forward. Thank you.
Before I call for the motion, I would like to just commend staff for being creative and innovative and trying to look for different ways to fund this program, because it is very important to the community. Any other questions or comments for Terry before I call the motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have planning matters for Victoria Area Directors. First on the agenda is temporary use permit 22007R Macola Kakonen Farrell Dion on 2660 Tofino Euclid Highway, Long Beach. Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a temporary use permit renewal application for the Lost Chute Campground property in the Long Beach area, just south of the highway junction. The property owners are applying to renew their TUP to permit the continued operation of the campground on the site, which consists of 34 unserviced or partially serviced sites and 15 fully serviced campsites for long-term and short-term rental. The board resolved to proceed with the public input process on this application in December. As part of that referral process, staff engaged with the District of Euclid Fire Chief, with the Ministry of Transportation and Transit staff, and with building inspector. Support for the TUP was provided by these agencies, subject to a number of conditions that are outlined in the report. These include posting civic addresses at the site and a site layout at the entrance, fire extinguishers throughout the site, emergency vehicle access, and smoke detectors included within any structure. Confirmation of these requirements are included within the conditions that are outlined in the TUP. Following the neighbor notification and public advertising process, we did receive one letter of correspondence from the public. That letter is included as a late item on the board agenda. The letter is from a neighboring property owner that actually operates another campground that's adjacent to this property, and they note that many of the conditions that are required in the TUP are not being complied with, including the use of structures, emergency management procedures, how they manage their waste, adequate washroom facilities, and caretaker availability. So at this time, given the correspondence that we have received from the public, as well as the conditions of approval that were recommended by those referral agencies and have been included in the TUP that relate to both fire protection, servicing, and access, staff do recommend that the board issue the TUP at this time, and that staff can monitor and manage ongoing issues through communication with the property owners and the bylaw enforcement process if those concerns are raised. Alternatively, if the board wishes to defer a decision on the TUP to allow staff to work more proactively with the applicants prior to considering the issue again at a future board meeting, that would be the board's option. So I have to answer any questions on that.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions or comments? Did you have comments? Director Sika, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was hoping that this could be brought before the area planning committee, but due to the weather.
Thank you for that. So this actually was brought before the Long Beach Advisory Planning Committee back in December. Yeah, so it wasn't on the most recent one. The way the process works, the APC is the first to review it, then the board considers it a first time, and the board considered this the first time on December 10th. After which we did the neighbor notification process. So the APC has had a chance to comment. Now the APC does not have a chance or has not had a chance to comment at this point on the correspondence that has been received. But if the board wishes to send it back to the APC for further discussion, that's up to that is the option of the board, I guess.
Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, at the the issues about the bear management and stuff that were brought forward in the letter, I don't think were presented at the area planning committee, but there was, I guess, at that point in time, approval to go ahead with the APC, and I have full confidence in the staff to be working towards making sure that there is compliance with the conditions. So I am prepared to make a motion that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors issue temporary use permit TUP 22007R.
Before I go to Director Mastrangelo, is there a seconder to the motion? Moved by Director Siga, second by Director Sparrow. Director Mastrangelo, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just a question about the Long Beach Advisory Committee meeting. With our transitions in December, was anyone connected with from the Lands and Resources Department or our new CAO, Sunny Dhaliwal, on that area? Just because it's right next to yeah, one of our establishments within the corporations. Thanks.
Thanks.
Yes, happy to speak to that. So we did not refer this to UCLOFAT ahead of the Advisory Planning Commission meeting. That's not a part of that process. We could look at making some improvements there or seeing some representation on the Long Beach Advisory Planning Commission as well. I think there's some benefit in having more discussion about that. There was through the public advertising process for this, there was a letter that goes out to all neighboring property owners within 100 meters. If UCLOFAT was within that, then they would have received the notice, and it was also posted in 2 editions of the Westerly newspaper. So I'm happy to follow up on that, Director Mastrangelo, if you'd like some more information on how we can communicate with the government.
No worries. Thank you.
Director Siga?
I would love to have some representation from UCLOFAT on your planning commission.
I'll connect. Sorry, I'll connect with you, Vida and Alex.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion to issue the temporary use permit? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have RD 250051 10203 Woodsley Loop, Sproat Lake. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a rezoning application for a vacant property located at in the Woodsley Loop area in Sproat Lake. The rezoning would allow for the construction of a residential garage structure to store the property owner's boat and trailer that they use for their personal use. A new zoning district was prepared for this application. The residential storage SW3 district was created to accommodate personal storage within an enclosed structure as a primary permitted use on the property without first requiring the construction of a house. Most of the residential zones allow you to have a house. Once you have a house, you can have an accessory structure. So this changes the order of that. The primary residential use of the property would be consistent with the policies that are in the Sproat Lake OCP, and a public advertising process would substitute for a public hearing in this case. The proposed SW3 zone does provide for a lot coverage for building setbacks and for building heights that reflect an accessory structure that we would typically see in a residential use area, and the zone would still maintain the ability to construct a house as well. The Sproat Lake Advisory Planning Commission considered the application at their February 17th meeting, where the APC passed a motion to recommend the application proceed to the public input process. This time, staff recommend that the board proceed with that prior to considering the bylaw for first reading at a future meeting. Thank you.
Director Boyko.
Thank you. I'm not going to interfere with the Sport Lake alternate making the motion, but my question relates to the overall complexity of having to do rezoning or create a new zone just to build a shed to put a boat in. Like, that seems overly complex, and we should strive to reduce the burden of bureaucracy on people. Thank you.
Alex?
Yeah, if I could speak to that, I do appreciate the feedback there, Director Barker, and we did go back and forth with the owners quite a bit, but I will highlight that we have drafted the zone in a way that it could fit multiple property owners. So this is a question that we do routinely get, but you know, can I build a garage or a shop or a shed on my building or on my property without having a house first? This is now a zone that would be in the zoning bylaw where other people could look to, and as staff we can point them in that direction to be more efficient in how we approve this in the future. But thank you for that.
Dr. Kose, did you have any comments, or do you want to start reading the motions?
Well, two parts. I do have a comment, and then I will read the motion. First of all, I think it's really good to have a new zone SW3, because now if somebody buys up a lot and wants to build a house, but they may want to build a garage first, and for two reasons. One, it's a place to store stuff. So as you're building your house, you can put your lumber and stuff in your garage. So step one, so I think it's really a good move. The other thing is a good move is, at least if somebody just wants to store stuff there, then they have a garage to do it. So I think the sequence has improved quite a bit from what we had before. So I'm very much in favor of this new zone.
Thank you for that comment. You want to start reading the
And
motion?
then, yes, I can proceed. That the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors consider first reading of bylaw P1536 and P1537 at a future date, and that notice be given in accordance with section 467 of the Local Government Act.
Moved by Director Lekose, second by Director Roth. Any final questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead.
That the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors confirm that adoption of the bylaw P1536 and P1537 is subject to A, confirmation from the Sprout Lake Fire Department that access and fire safety measures are in place to provide adequate fire protection to the site, and B, meeting all technical referral agency requirements.
Moved by Director Lekose, second by Director Roth. Any Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to second it, but what is the confirmation from Spurl Lake Fire Department that access and fire safety measures are in place? I think that's the first time I've seen anything like that on any of these planning matters. What does that actually mean? That they have sprinkler systems and fire extinguishers, or how detailed is that going to go? Thank you.
Please go ahead, Alex.
To the chair, Director Boyko, thank you for that. The intent there is access for emergency vehicles, and you know that could be clarified in the referral, but ahead of or at the same time we do the public input process, we will be doing a referral agency process, and we typically engage with the fire departments. In this case, we felt it was appropriate to make sure that they have the adequate access into the site if they do need to respond to an emergency. It's not going to look at things like sprinklering. That is dealt with separately in the building code. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have the temporary use permit 25013 Don Saywell Developments Limited at 10411 Marina Vista Drive, Sprout Lake. Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is a temporary use permit for the short-term rental of a house on Marina Vista Drive in the Sprout Lake area. The applicants intend to rent the 1,500 square feet of living space within the house with a 4-person maximum occupancy over the summer months. The conditions of use are outlined within the TUP, which would include an occupancy permit for the new dwelling, which was recently built in the last couple of years. Caretaker availability, management of any nuisance concerns, management of off-street parking or availability of that, and registration with the provincial host registry as well. The Spur Lake Advisory Planning Commission considered the application at their February 17th meeting where the APC passed a motion to proceed with the public input process. It is now recommended that the board proceed with that public input to gather neighborhood concerns and comments on the proposed use prior to considering the issuance of the TP. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for Alex? Judge Lacose, would you like to start reading the motion?
I'll make the motion that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors consider temporary use permit application TUP 25013 subject to the following: neighborhood notification as per Local Government Act S494.
Moved by Director Lacose, second by Director Sparrow. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have development variance permit 26001 De Bruin and Rehill at 10170 Kuhlman Road, Sproat Lake. Please go ahead, Alex.
Thank you very much. This is a development variance application for a property within a Bearland Strata development located at 10170 Cayunum Road. The applicants intend to construct a 1,000 square foot detached garage with a maximum height of 17 feet, which would be an increase from the 12.5 foot height that would be required with the current siting in the RA1 zone. The Sproat Lake APC again supported this application at their last meeting and recommended the board proceed with the public input process. I will also highlight the applicants have already provided 2 letters of support from neighboring property owners with their package as well, and those are included for the board to consider. At this time, staff recommended the board undertake that neighbor notification and public input process ahead of making a decision on the variance. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions or comments? Dr. Lacose, would you like to make the motion?
Yes. That the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors consider issuance of a development variance permit number DVD 26001 to vary section 6.5.1.e to increase the maximum allowable height of an accessory structure in an RA1 zone from 12 feet to 17 feet, subject to completion of public notification in accordance with S499 of the Local Government Act.
Moved by Director Lacose, second by Director Roth. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? The motion is carried. Next is MISC 25003-1257819 BC Limited at 10412 Lakeshore Road, Sproat Lake. Please go ahead, Alex.
Thank you very much. Another Sproat Lake application for you. This is an application to amend restrictive covenants that are registered in favor of the ACRD on the 0.85 hectare vacant property in the Sproat Lake area. The property is zoned Tourist Commercial C6 district, and the covenants limit the number of units to 10 and the floor area of those units to 1,200 square feet of living area. The property owners intend to develop the property now into a mix of 4 duplex structures and 3 single-family dwellings that would be individually strata titled with communal water and sewer systems and used as either permanent or seasonal dwellings for the owners or as short-term vacation rental units as well. So the application to amend the covenants would increase the number of permitted units from 10 to 11. So it allow for 1 additional unit on the property. It would increase the maximum floor area of each of those units from 1,200 square feet to 2,000 square feet, and would allow for 2 20-meter wide access roads from Alden Road off to the east. As the covenants relate to use and density, the process in which the regional district follows to amend or discharge a covenant like this is to hold a public meeting, and that would allow for public input prior to the board considering any changes to the covenant. The public meeting is not a public hearing, but it would be managed and advertised with similar procedures as a formal hearing, including neighbor notification, advertising, and the conduct of the meeting. There would be an agency referral process conducted ahead of the meeting as well to gather input on the development. Key technical considerations with this one includes servicing, road access, and emergency vehicle access, and staff would engage with Allen Health, with Ministry of Transportation and Transit, and with the Sproat Lake Fire Department, among others, ahead of the public meeting to ensure that any technical requirements can be met as well. Once again, the APC considered this application on February 17th, where they supported moving ahead with the public meeting. Staff recommend that the board proceed with holding that meeting to be together input on the proposed covenant amendments, and that the meeting be delegated to the Spirit Lake Area Director, the alternate director, or the chairperson of the board. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions or comments? Director Lacoste, please go ahead.
Just as a comment, before I read this, that at the APC meeting, there was a lot of discussion on covenants, on the location. They were concerned about parking. They were concerned about the number of cars you can get there. They're concerned about parking boat trailers. So there was a lot of discussion at APC. And I think it's very important that it does go to a public meeting so the public has an opportunity to see all the concerns that they have here. Going back to it, I will read it. That the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board Directors direct a public meeting to be held to gather input on the amendment of restricted covenants FB 194074 and FB 194076 to allow for the proposed development of up to 11 dwelling units, each with a maximum floor space of 2,000 square feet on the property located at 10412 Lakeshore Road.
Moved by Director Lacoste, second by Director Roth. Director Boyko, you have a question?
Yes, I have similar concerns to what was came up in the APC, specifically how close these buildings are apart. Like, if you want to go to cottage residential, you got to be 30 feet apart, and these things are 3 meters apart. What's that, 10 feet? Like, how are we actually going to set this thing up that these things are so close together? These are houses are built in Calgary where they're only 6 feet apart. Like, this is really tight. So it needs to go to public hearing to get lots of detailed information, but I question how close these are together. I know the owner's trying to maximize everything in there, but there has to be a limit on how far apart these things are. So it'd be good to hear a bit more from the BC Building Code about what is actually allowed here. Thank you.
You have a comment, Alex, or?
No, other than the building inspector will be engaged as a part of that process, so we can key into you know, what that fire separation requirement would look like, and look to their advice to make some recommendations on what the setbacks between the buildings should appropriately be. And I'll also highlight that the fire department will likely have some comments on access in there as well, so we'll make sure that we engage those
Is there a
professionals in that.
regarding the fire department, we should add that stipulation on here that we just added on that lot with the garage, that say that the fire department should provide feedback on this development before anything else further happens. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. Any final questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead, Director Courtier.
That the public meeting be delegated to the Director of Electoral Area D, the alternate director, or the chairperson of the regional district.
Moved by Director Lacoste, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have a rezoning application. Oh, Director Roth.
Can we add that section, confirmation of the Spirit Lake Fire Department that access and fire safety measures in place to provide adequate fire protection to the site, to that one?
It's too late. We've already voted on it, but if you
No, I
want to
mean,
make,
as a C.
It can be a separate motion.
so you make a separate motion?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay,
please.
so you're making a separate motion?
Yes. please.
Okay. Moved by Director Roth. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Director Siga. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have a rezoning application for RF 24008 for Tully's Plumbing and Heating at 450 Franklin River Road in Cherry Creek. Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, happy to introduce, and thank you for your patience. We do have the property owners here. So this is a rezoning application for a larger 15.3 hectare property located on Franklin River Road in the south side of the Cherry Creek electoral area. The applicants intend to rezone the portion north of the road to a light industrial M2B district zone that would be limited to industrial uses that would include offices and workshops for the construction industry, storage uses, motor vehicle and commercial truck repair to support their business, and the wholesale and retail sale of sand and gravel. The applicants also intend to rezone the southern portion of the property to mixed accommodation MAC district zone, which would allow for the development of a campground with a mix of up to 50 RV campsites or 25 cottages for short-term rental. The rezoning includes an application to redesignate the property from rural use in the Cherry Creek OCP to a mix of industrial use on the north side and commercial use on the south side. And the property would be included in the form and character development permit area to ensure that any development at the site meets the visual aesthetic, the access, and the screening standards that are outlined in the OCP. The Cherry Creek Advisory Planning Commission met in December, where the APC supported the application as presented and recommended that it proceed to a public hearing. Given the proposed scale of the development and the mix of the uses, there are a number of technical aspects to this rezoning that staff recommend that the board include as conditions of rezoning should the application proceed. These are outlined in the report in detail, but just to highlight what we would be recommending the board to require, the applicants would be required to agree to a covenant to limit the extent of those uses in the light industrial zone. There would be a requirement for confirmation from the registered on-site wastewater practitioner that the property can accommodate sewage disposal for the full build out of the campground and for any industrial uses. We would be seeking support from the Ministry of Transportation and Transit for the access to both the upper and the lower sides of the property. We'd be looking for support from Island Health for the operation of the private water system that would be servicing the campground. And we would be looking for remediation of any lands that have been used for storage of industrial debris. So at this point, staff recommend that the board proceed with first reading of the bylaws subject to those conditions that I've outlined in the report, and that a public hearing be delegated to gather input and technical referral agency comments as the next step in this rezoning application process. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Director Sparrow.
I do have a comment before I go through this whole thing. And it's gonna be a big project, and it's good for Cherry Creek to finally, get moving, get going, something big in that area, especially that area. But if you look through this on services section C, it says the Cherry Creek Fire Department could service this area and it can. The way it sits right now is all the areas around here are under contract in that area of Franklin River Road, except the areas where the houses are. And there is an opportunity to get fire protection there. It'd be my plan B going forward, but I always said I would try and get fire protection for that area if I could. And the way plan B would work would be the area would be contracted out Cherry Creek Fire Department, and they would get the tax revenue from it. But under the AMA agreement, the first responding fire department would be the closest fire department, which would be within 8 kilometers of the area. So they would get reasonable fire protection, good response, but it wouldn't be a Cherry Creek Fire Department. That is my plan B to get fire protection for the area, but it's not my plan A. My plan A is to try and negotiate and start dialogue with a better alternative that we can work forward with. So, but that is under services C, and that is an avenue we can pursue if the applicants would like me to pursue that. Just letting you know going forward. But other than that, sure, I'll be glad to read this out.
Please go ahead and start.
Thank you. That bylaw P1533 Cherry Creek Official Community Plan Amendment bylaw be read for the first time.
Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Roth. Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you. With regard to limiting the activities in a restricted covenant, what activities would actually be excluded from light industrial for this property that is fairly well secluded from residential zones?
Alex.
Through the chair, thank you for that. The zoning bylaw is quite permissive in the industrial zones, and I will highlight that the M1 zone is our industrial park zone, and that allows a range of industrial uses. The next level up is the light industrial use, and that allows everything in the M1 district as well as everything in the M2 district. So it does give a large range of what you can do, and that's everything from truck transport up, operations to cannabis facilities to various levels of manufacturing. So we've used the covenant restriction as an ability to limit the uses to what the applicants are proposing. So we've worked with the applicants to determine what their proposed uses are of that site, and then we'll tailor it to that to limit the ability for them to change their mind and build a sawmill or something like that in the future. Not saying that that would be the M3 zone, but that would be an example that we've used in the past. So in the future, if the property were to sell or if the applicants were to change their plans and look to expand their operation, we would be looking at going through a public process to amend that covenant and really increase the uses that they'd be looking at the site. Hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, so just as a follow-up there, so the current uses that are provided here are what the applicant is looking for, and we're not restricting what they're currently doing at this time, correct?
That is correct. Yes, these are tailored specifically to this application.
Perfect. And I think overall, adding in the valley additional places to get gravel, retail and wholesale from, and adding competition is only going to help the valley as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Please go ahead, Director Sparrow.
Thank you. That bylaw P1534 Regional District Alberni Clay Court zoning text amendment bylaw be read for the first time.
Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Roth. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead, Director Sparrow.
That bylaw P1535 Regional District Alberni Clay Court zoning atlas amendment bylaw be read for the first time.
Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Roth. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead.
That the public hearing for bylaws P1533, P1534, and P1535 be delegated to the Director for Electrical Area F, alternate director or the chairperson of the regional district.
Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Roth. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead.
That the Alberni Clay Court Regional District Board of Directors confirm that adoption of these bylaws P1533, P1534, and P1535 are subject to A, the property owners agreeing to the registration of a restrictive covenant that would limit the industrial uses in the light industrial M2B district to offices and workshops for enterprises within the construction industry, closed storage and warehousing, open storage, motor vehicle, and commercial truck repair, and the wholesale and retail sale of sand and gravel. B, confirmation of registered on-site wastewater practitioner ROWP that the property can support on-site sewage disposal and accommodate proposed uses within the M2B district and the proposed full build-out of the campground into the mixed accommodation commercial MAC district. C, confirmation of support from the Ministry of Transportation and Transit for the access for the industrial uses on the north side and the campground uses on the south side, and the issuance of a commercial access permit. D, confirmation of support from Allied Health for the operation of a private water system to serve the campground in compliance with the requirements of the Drinking Water Protection Act and regulations. E, mediation of any land on the property used for the storage of debris and construction waste. F, including the property in the Cherry Creek Official Community Plan, the OCP Development Permit Area 3, objectives for form and character. G, meeting all of the technical referral agency requirements.
That was a mouthful. Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Roth. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Motion is carried. And I just want to thank you for coming today. Next, we have staff reports. We have the meeting scheduled for March 2026, building report for January 2026, and monthly agreement and grant allocation report for January 2026. Does anyone want to pull anything out? Seeing none, could I motion that the Board of Directors receives the staff reports A through C? Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have committee reports. We have a verbal report from the chair of the Bathfield Area Services Committee meeting held on February 24th, 2026. Director Beckett, did you want to give a verbal report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had the election for the committee. I'm serving as chair, and John Jack is serving as vice chair. We had one primary item to discuss last night, and that was a staff report suggesting an increase of $8 a month for our water rate, and that there would be a report coming for 2027 regarding asset management potential increases. There was good discussion on an excellent report that staff had prepared, and it was unanimously, the motion was unanimously passed, and that motion will be coming to the board for ratification or approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Beckett. Could I have a motion to receive the verbal report? Moved by Director Roth, second by Director Siga. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have member reports. First is 911 Corporation, Director Beckett.
And I have no report, Madam Chair, at this time.
Thank you. Vancouver Island Regional Library, Director Cote. Please go ahead, Director Lacossiere.
I have a quick report. I talked to Penny Cody about this. There's a new executive on their board. Penny Cody has been reelected for Port Alberni, and Ali Sawyer of Tofino. So there's two of them on the board.
That's great news. Thank you. Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce, Director Minions, do you have a report?
Hi there, no report.
Thank you. Sawakam Public Advisory Group, Director Sparrow.
I have a few things about the meeting. I'll give you a quick update. They're trying to look for 20 to 30,000 cubic meters per month this year, which is low for them over the years. We did have a very rousing introduction about stumpage and waste presentation, which sounds really boring, but he was very good at it. He showed you all about the stumpage and waste and what it was and how it's calculated, and it looks like the reconciliation formula is a lot easier to follow than this formula he gave us for stumpage. It's really complicated, and he did a very good job. They're meeting all the review processes that are coming through right now, and they're talking about fiber recovery and different areas of fiber recovery, if you remember. And the closer you are to the pulp mill, the less waste you can have on your property. And they're trying to get people to harvest their timber and bring in their woody debris into the pulp mill, which we saw just on top of the hump. The people out towards Vanport too far away. So it was very good, and it was a very interesting discussion going on. So, but this year is going to be a pretty poor year, I think, for forestry all around. I think he said the revenues for 2025 was 1.9 million. It should be 14 million. So that's the kind of industry that in right now. But that was good. Well, I have a report. Thank you.
I agree, Dr. Sparrow. He made a topic that sounds very boring and complicated, actually a lot of fun and much easier to understand. Yeah, it's awesome. Director Steer, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just had a question for Director Sparrow. The audio was a little off there. Did you say that they were looking for 20 to 30,000 cubic meters per month? Is that what you reported?
Yes, I just lost my email for a second there. Hold on, you're back. Yeah, 20 to 30,000 cubic feet. Yeah, 20,000 cubic meters per month. That's your operational goal. If they're gonna try and hit it or not, I don't know. Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that 240,000 cubic meters a year. Okay. Thank you.
Not much, is it?
Thank you. Any other reports from directors? Seeing none of the motion that the Board of Directors receives the member reports. Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Siga. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Under unfinished business, we have a notice of motion to discuss the lease expansion of the Alberni Valley Regional Airport. This is a notice of motion for Director Boyko. And if you would like to read the notice of motion, Director Boyko, but just a reminder, there's no comments or discussion. We'll be doing that at the next board meeting when it's a regular agenda item, and there'll be a staff report to go along with this as well. So if you would like to read your notice of motion, please go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair. I'll make a notice of motion that the Alberni Claypot Regional District Board of Directors direct staff to investigate the additional lease expansion of 84,637 square feet at the Alberni Valley Regional Airport where no lease exists and provide options to the board that are equitable and fair to all current leaseholders at the airport and to taxpayers that own the aerodrome, including options such as a separate lease backdated to when construction began on this additional area. Thank you.
Thank you. No late business question period. So everyone has left the gallery. Do you have any questions online, Heather?
Just give me 1 second to look. Nothing in Zoom, nobody is here. And there's no emails received.
Director Beckett, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, and I don't really think this is late business. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the quality, the audio quality, it's not just Director Sparrow. And when I'm listening to others like Director Boyko and others who are not in the boardroom, it's loud and clear. But around the board table, it varies. And I don't know if I'm the only one. I'd like to hear from others, but if we could just take 30 seconds, I really think that we need to address, not just for the directors that are participating, but for those that may be listening in for quality, for recorded sessions. So I just think we're at a place where we're going to have to spend some money and address this. Thank you for allowing me to state that.
Thank you. I did have a little bit of trouble at the beginning hearing Director Boyko, but that was only at the beginning, and now everything seems to be fine. For me anyway. Director McEwen?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I concur with Director Beckett. Anyone speaking on Zoom is super loud and clear. For me, everyone in the boardroom, Director Siga, I couldn't hear a thing she was saying. Director Sparrow, same. Yeah, it's what I'm doing is I'm fiddling with my speaker volume. Every time someone new speaks, if it's someone in the boardroom, I have to turn it up to 90%. If it's someone online, I have to turn it back down to 50%. So there is something going on with the audio in the boardroom for sure.
Does anybody else online want to comment? Director Steer?
Yeah, thank you. I somewhat concur with Director Beckett and Director McEwen. The one thing I have noticed in terms of observing, depending on the director that's speaking in the boardroom, if they direct their head away from the mic, if they speak towards the chair or to staff, that tends to be where the audio drops off for me. It's when they turn and face directly into the mic. That is, I definitely notice a difference. So that tends to be in my observation where I see it, but there may be other issues that are going on.
Director Boyko, did you raise your hand?
I share the concerns, and it's not just Director Sparrow, but he's very animated, and everyone appreciates that. But everyone else, if you don't have the microphone, like I know it starts way away from you. If you just bring it closer to you and talk and focus on it as opposed to who you're looking at, it'd make everyone's lives a lot better. And it's the same thing when I'm in the boardroom too.
I'm sorry, Director Roth. If you pull this closer to you, I think there might be problems with it unplugging or.
Well, last time I was in there last week, I pulled it closer to myself and the cables don't pull out of the back. There's slack in there.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Thank you, Director Coots.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I agree. Just echoing some of the comments that Director Boyko just made. I myself regularly pull my microphone back in when I'm in the room and starting my day. I agree. I definitely wouldn't suggest to run rampant doing that without checking the wires first, but I agree. It seems to just kind of be a distance issue. I notice when the microphone is closer, you can kind of get away with looking at whom you're speaking to. But yeah, so long as you have the microphone within a couple inches of yourself, they're pretty good. They're just not, they're not stage mics. They're just little mics. Thanks.
Maybe we'll ask IT if they can maybe do some research and see if they can just do something with the sound, or if it's just the directors, or if we have to get a new system, like they can have a look at it and do a recommendation. Can you do that, Heather?
Sure. I just remind the board that we did bring a project initiative case in January, and Rich did come and speak to it and did outline the costs, and it was quite expensive. And that time the board directed staff to not do anything. So I have moved my mic closer. Is that helpful? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we don't want a new system. So what we're going to have to do is very conscious, bring the mic closer to our mouths and try and speak directly into the microphone. So I want to thank everybody online for bringing that up. That's good feedback. Don't hang your head in shame, Director Sparrow. Okay. So can I get a motion to recess the regular Board of Directors meeting in order to conduct the Regional Hospital District meeting? Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, I'd like to call to order the February 25th Hospital District Board of Directors meeting to order. First, I'd like to acknowledge that we're conducting this meeting on the unceded traditional territories of the Shuswap Huipachesset First Nations, and we are grateful for the opportunity to do so. We also have directors calling in from other territories, so I'd like to also acknowledge those nations and express our great gratitude and our respect. Notice to attendees and delegates, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to YouTube on the Regional District website. We have an agenda in front of us. Is there any additions from directors? Seeing none, is there any additions from the corporate officer?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I motion to approve the agenda as presented? Moved by Director Roth, seconded by Director Lecourcier. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Any declarations or conflicts of interest? Seeing none, we'll go on to the adoption of minutes. We have minutes from the Board of Directors meeting held on February 11th, 2026. Is there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, the motion of the minutes of the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional Hospital District Board of Directors held on February 11th, 2026 be adopted. Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Steer. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. No petitions, delegations, or presentations. No correspondence for action. Correspondence for information. We have a letter from the Seaview Seniors Housing Society regarding the expansion of Tofino General Hospital in the absence of long-term care for local seniors. And I thought that was a fantastic letter. Director Steer.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I did want to comment on it just because it once again reaffirms the case that we've been making in terms of the concept plan that was submitted to the Ministry of Infrastructure and the request or the revision request for that. Once again, this is just indicating a clear understanding of the services that we're looking for within that concept plan that was submitted to them. And Seaview has clearly articulated some of the issues regarding specifically long-term care and the advocating for expansion of care for our senior population. So I thought it was a timely letter and think it important to keep into consideration. We have those conversations with the Ministry of Infrastructure around the replacement of the Tofino General Hospital.
Thank you, Director Steer. Agree 100%. Any other questions or comments? Get a motion this correspondence to be received for information. Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Steer. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next is the request for decision from the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional Hospital District Procedure Bylaw H141, and we have adoption of the bylaw. So Heather, did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, just very simply, this is a procedures bylaw to indicate that the hospital district is accepting the regional district procedure bylaw as its own. So it's there for your adoption today.
Is there any questions or comments for Heather? Director Roth?
We're just going to make the motion.
Please go ahead, start meeting.
Okay, I move that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors give first reading to Alberni-Clayoquot Regional Hospital District Procedure Bylaw H141/2026.
Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Siga. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead, Director Roth.
Second reading?
Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sika. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead.
Third reading?
Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sika. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Please go ahead.
And that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional Hospital District Board of Directors adopt Alberni-Clayoquot Regional Hospital District Procedure Bylaw H1401 2026.
Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sika. Final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Next is reports. Banfield Health Center, Director Beckett.
No report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Alberni-Clayoquot Continuing Care Society, Director Sika.
Thank you. I'll try to, oh, I can hear myself echo when I get it close. Okay.
You don't sound echoey though.
Oh, to me it sounds echoey
yeah.
when I get it close, so it's probably why I'm backing off. Okay, the Alberni-Clayoquot Continuing Care Society held their meeting on February 22nd, which was last night, and reviewed policies and there's a framework from the strategic plan that is guiding operational capital decision making towards financial stability despite funding challenges of Island Health funding not meeting contractual obligations. Thank you.
Thank you. West Coast Native Healthcare Society, Director Lecourcier.
I talked to Penny about it. She said there's no report.
Thank you. Tofino General Hospital, Director Steer.
No report. I think we've talked this one out. I did want to maybe make a comment now that, and I'll look to maybe Director McEwen on this one, in terms of the Ucluelet Healthcare Center. If there's ever any, because I'm not privy to some of that information, but if there is, I don't know if we need to add it to the reports under Tofino General Hospital, but because it does say West Coast directors can comment. So, but if there is anything from there, I just thought I would mention it because I know Director McEwen has got a little more finger on the pulse on that one.
Thank you, Director McEwen.
I don't really have a finger on the pulse. It is in my community, but there is no communication that flows through me. But I'll see if I can rectify that.
Thank you. Alberni-Clayoquot Health Network. Director Cossey, did Director Cote leave you anything?
No, she had no comment on it.
Okay. Director Siga, did you have anything? Okay, so no report today. West Coast General Hospital, last February, oh, Director Steer?
Yeah, I just thought I didn't know if it had come up but I was from the district of Tofino. I'm now appointed to the table of partners for the Alberni-Clayoquot Health Network as of their last meeting. I think it was February 18th. Don't correct me on that one if so I'm now sitting on that table.
Great, we'll get to see you online more often. West Coast General Hospital, so I'll just talk a little bit on February 18th, the Continuum of Care Group, Alberni-Clayoquot Community Arc, Alberni-Clayoquot Community Futures, and the Healthcare Society and the Alberni Valley Low Energy Society did a presentation on the campus of care to the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce to try and get support from the business community. It was very well received, lots of chatter online from the business people that attended, so project is still moving forward. Any other reports from directors? Seeing none, can I motion Regional Hospital Board of Directors to receive reports A through G? Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Roth. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. No unfinished business, no late business. Is there any questions online, Heather?
No questions.
Can I motion to adjourn? Moved by Director Roth, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Now can I motion to reconvene to the regular meeting? Moved by Director Sika, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. So I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting to the public as per the community charter, sections 91C, labor relations and other employee relations. 91E, the acquisition, disposition or expropriation of land for improvements. If the council considers that the closure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality. And the late item, which is Community Charter 91A, personal info about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another person appointed by the municipality. Gotta get a seconder.